He keeps kicking me in the dick. Why? Why does he keep kicking me in the dick?
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way you like. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'm levitating. The Milky Way, we're renegading. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the last bastion of sanity for this portion of the internet. I bring to you the Last Vox. So I ask you to go ahead, grab your favorite beverage, sit back and relax, and realize that you are, without a doubt, the most intelligent person on the planet, according to the people we talk about on this show. Now, it's been a couple of weeks. I've had a chance to build some things up, talk to you guys about some interesting things, and I want to say welcome back to the Last Vox After Hours. my name is Matt. Hello to all you lovely people. And speaking of, let's go ahead and see who is in the chat at the present moment. Zeo Gold was first, Mitzi was second, and my darling wife Ishtar happens to be third, but she was always first in my heart. And Steve gets honorable mention. Hello to the four of you. And then Ray is here. He says he'll take dishonorable mention. Meme smiths are never dishonorable, sir. They may sometimes be cringy. They may sometimes be crazy. They may sometimes be outlandish, but never dishonorable. Haster is here. How's it going, Haster? Naomi says, good evening, everyone. Is it okay I hang out? Of course it is, Naomi. I would not suffer you to sit through all of this unless you really, really want to hang out with all the crazies that we're going to be talking about today. So I'm glad to see you. I hope you're doing good. And then let's see. Trey Lee is here. How's it going, Trey? He says, swiggity swooty. I hope he's not coming for my booty, but, you know, that's okay, too. And he says, I saw the stream was up while I was pooping. Well, that means, you know, just like everyone else, you play on your phone while you're in the bathroom. Steve says, 10:06, you lied to me. I did not lie. We are after hours. Yes, Zeo Gold, you are faster than a dinosaur and a werecat. Alright, so before we get to some craziness, I gotta say, guys, the support that has been shown for me being really erratic with things going on in regards to my health has been awesome. So I want to thank you for sticking with me and being supportive and things like that while all of this is going on. I know there was supposed to be a, you know, cringe book club, which there will be next Sunday, as far as I know. I'm still trying to get this stuff handled. Doctors still don't know what's wrong. And it's never fun to have vertigo for long stretches during the day. I just had a spinal tap on Friday. And for those of you who don't know what that is and are only thinking of the Mortal Kombat reference, no, the doctor did not grab me by the back of my head and rip my spine out and put it back in. What a spinal tap is pretty much they take about a needle like this long, 5 inches or so, and they jam it into your spine. And they want to get some of your spinal fluid to test for certain diseases, see how healthy it is, see for spinal pressure. I didn't know that was a thing, and going from there. So, basically, I am still waiting to see the results of that, and then I have another appointment in a couple weeks. So I'm going to try and continue to stream as often as I can, try and upload the help for the HFTG archives as often as I can. Season 2 is going to be starting. If you haven't caught up on Season 1, go ahead and there's a playlist down below if you like creepy stories, and a meta story going on through all of that. That's all down there. But aside from all of that, things have kind of been going crazy on Twitter, haven't they? They always go crazy on Twitter. And I really do need to create a second scene to bring this up. But the reason I'm talking about it first, before I get to the cringeworthy, I guess we're going to say the crazies of Twitter. The entitled of Twitter, that's what I was calling it. The entitlement of Twitter. How's it going, Cinder? I'm doing okay for right now. My back is not as sore as it was yesterday. But I don't know if you guys know this, but there's some shit going down in Afghanistan right now. And I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to talk much about it, but I am going to bring up something that I think is kind of interesting. How's it going, Herb? Herb is a good doctor. He assured me that I'm going to be doing better on Friday when I was really worried about going in for the lumbar puncture, and he was right. Everything went perfectly fine, so you got to listen to the good Dr. Herb there. So a lot, like, from what I gathered, because I don't know exactly what happened, is troops are being pulled out of Afghanistan. And finally, when we get enough pulled out, the Taliban comes back. And you have people like Nancy Pelosi saying that, The American president should be commended for doing a whole bunch of good stuff and getting the people out of Afghanistan, and the Taliban needs to think about what their image is to the global population and the global community. And my thought, and this is not just one. I think it was Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki said it. And I want to point out to these numpties that think the Taliban give a shit what they have to say. The Taliban doesn't care. Okay, according to the Taliban, if you don't agree with them, then you deserve death. They don't care. You are your country because you don't agree with them. Well, it's marked for death because they want everyone to be like them. Now, why am I pointing this out? It's very simple. Have y'all noticed that there's no outrage mobs about what's going on with the Taliban? I've noticed. The normal outrage clickheads haven't really been saying much, have they? They've been kind of silent on it, talking about other stupid things. Why is that? It's really simple. They don't give a shit. And it really gives the perspective on their opinion. Now, when I'm talking about the outrage mobs, you guys know who I'm talking about. The ones that go out there and want to make a mountain out of a molehill, talking about everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic, everything is an ist, everything is Trump's fault. All of these people, they're very, very quiet. And it's because they don't give a shit. And the reason they don't care is very simple. They don't care because they can't get clicks off of it. They can't make a snarky tweet about it without looking like a shithead. They can't get an outrage mob behind them. Because if they go against El Jefe Biden, the Lord and the Savior of America, Sleepy Joe, well, then they're going to get eaten by their own. So they can't do anything about this, so they're just going to ignore it. You have George Takei, who I used to respect, telling people that we need to have two different classes of citizens. And the second class citizens do not deserve medical attention. Now that sounds horrible, right? What is it over? It's over COVID vaccinations. I've gotten my vaccination. Why? Because I don't want to wear a mask anymore. So I'm not telling you to go do it. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Consult your doctor. If your doctor says it's something you should probably get, you should probably get it. If your doctor says, fuck it, do whatever you want, fuck it, do whatever you want. Do not take medical advice from me. You hear that, Susan? I'm not giving them medical advice. I am telling them to consult their physician. So, all of this Taliban stuff is on the quiet, and it really shows you their true opinions. That they don't give a shit about anything except if they can make something off of it. If they can make themselves famous. If they can get a bunch of retweets. If they can make it go viral. If they can't make it go viral, they do not care. And they never will. So this is why you stop listening to internet celebrities. You stop listening to celebrities. You don't listen to the people who you know have been lying to you for years. But, well, I find it odd. I find it rather odd that this is something serious going on. That they can get in an uproar about. Like, the Taliban like to claim a jihad on people. A holy war. And they don't care about the people that they hurt in accomplishing their goals. To the Taliban, the ends justify the means. To me, the ends never justify the means. But that's what we're dealing with now. And no one's talking about it on Twitter because Trisha Paytas or fucking Ethan Klein and Keemstar are feuding again because people are fucking dumb. But real things are going on. See, Trey says, my friend went to the doctor the other day. He tested her, but said it's way overhyped in the news. She's got a doctor's opinion. If she doesn't agree with that doctor's opinion, she's welcome to go to another doctor. But I don't know how like I said, I don't know much about this, but I know people are starting to shit on soldiers again, and that's never cool, ever. Ray says Afghanistan has the Taliban, America has an unvax ban. Yeah. It's more... This is never a good thing. Don't create a second class... You can't do it. Okay? Creating a second class citizen because they're unvaccinated about something. What you're doing, like, calling people who don't believe in a experimental vaccine or a rushed vaccine, calling them anti-vaxxers is doing a disservice to what actual anti-vaxxers are. And I said this at the beginning. You could go back to a Last Vox when the beginning of this stuff happened, when they were talking about this vaccine, and they were talking about how that they were going to mandate them, make them mandatory. I said, I'm not quoting, but I said basically this: you're giving credence to actual anti-vaxxers who believe the government is going to mandate that their children get vaccinated when they don't believe in the vaccines. And I'm not talking about COVID vaccines. I'm talking about polio, measles, flu, things like that. Those are the anti-vaxxers. To lump them in with people who don't want to agree with an experimental vaccine or a brand new vaccine, you gotta stop. Okay? Because you're justifying exactly what anti-vaxxers believe the government is going to do. They're going to make them second-class citizens. They're going to treat them differently because they don't want to get their kids vaccinated. They don't want to get their kids vaccinated for the mumps. They don't want to get them vaccinated for chickenpox. They don't want to get them vaccinated for the measles. They don't want to get them vaccinated for the flu. They don't want anything to do with the vaccine. You're giving them credence by doing this. Stop. Because they're just as crazy as flat earthers, and they're just as rabid as flat earthers. So people like George Takei, you can go walk off a fucking short... Or you can take a long walk off a short pier. Okay? Go count mufflers on the freeway. Because doing that shit is going to make things worse. You don't want to polarize people even more in America than it already is. And celebrities and people with millions of followers doing this shit is stupid. I understand you have an opinion. You have the ability to express it by being on TikTok, by being on Twitter, by being on Facebook, by being on YouTube, whatever. You do not need to express your opinion in such a way. And when you express your opinion in such a way, you start dividing people. Philip DeFranco is another one out there who is now basically shitting on people who don't want to get a vaccine. And he's not being cool Philip DeFranco about it. I stopped listening to Phil a long time ago when he started honestly basically believing everything evil about conservatives. Not just Trump, but conservatives in general. Yes. Ray says, don't be silly. George Takei isn't into muffs. Yes, I know. Ear muffs. He's into the fluffy ear muffs. He may not be into other muffs. But my thing on this, it's really simple. Talk to your doctor. Don't separate the class. Don't make a second class of vaccinated and unvaccinated. And listen to what's going on with the news, like actual news. Go watch C-SPAN, okay? C-SPAN is one of the most boring fucking channels on TV. Why? Because they don't sensationalize anything. They actually tell the news, and they will tell you exactly what's going on. Don't listen to CNN. Don't listen to Fox News. Don't listen to people who you can tell have a spin on things. It's that simple. And don't shit on soldiers. They're doing what they can to protect us, and there's a different type of person out there who is a soldier that does something that I know I can't do. But that's the harsh stuff out of the way, right? That's the stuff that can get kind of ranty. People can get ranty about, and I probably can get demonetized because of it. We're gonna start talking about, as I've called it, the entitlement of Twitterites, Twitterati, whatever. I'll think of something and I'll create a scene and it'll shift over and it'll be really cool. But the entitlement of Twitter. I'll think of something better than that. But let me get rid of this, and then I have to get my handy dandy headphones because we're gonna listen to some crazy people. And you guys, I have a couple of them. I actually have really been enjoying doing this portion on Last Vox, so I'm making it kind of a thing. So, welcome back, Steve. Zio Gold says, only a fanatic thinks the ends justify the means. That's very correct, very true. Alright, you guys ready? This one, the caption is, there was a time when identifying as pizza was considered parody. That's right, pizza. Identifying as pizza. Which, went to Costco today, had some Costco pizza. It's really good, really cheap. We had a really good meal for like under $10. Can't complain about that. Alright. Oh boy. You guys are not ready for this. This is a TikTok from @YourSuperCuteGirlfriend. Well, she's not my girlfriend, and she's neither super nor cute. So, here we go.
You know what? I know I'm a cis woman, and I know that, like, my opinion should be taken very lightly.
Why? Why should your opinion be taken very lightly because you're a cis woman? Your opinion is just as valid as anybody else's. Now, I like to say that opinions are like assholes, right? Everybody has one, and everybody thinks everyone else's stinks. Ray says I DoorDashed Sizzler and I had a bad meal for $50. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray.
I'm just saying. But as an ally, I want to say this. I am totally down with neo-pronouns such as pizza, pizza self, kitten, kitten self, simply because
neo-pronouns such as pizza and pizza self and kitten self. I've said this before, and I will say this again, and I will continue to say it. I do not have a problem with the pronouns. You want me to call you whatever you want? That's fine. If you're respectful to me, I will be respectful to you. But if you demand or you tell me that you identify as pizza and to have you be pizza self, I'm going to call you Domino's because you're 30 minutes out. Okay? No, Ishtar, you can't be a mattress kitten self.
like, if you ask me to call you by pizza kitten self, you know, whatever, then I'm gonna try my best to respect that, because what else do I call you? I'd just be plain out, like, disrespecting you if I went by they, them, because that's...
What do I call you? I call you dude. Now, I know there are people out there who will say that dude is gendered. It's a guy thing. I grew up in Southern California. Dude is a noun. It doesn't matter. Dude is whatever you want it to be. A person, a place, or a thing. I have looked at my car when it wouldn't start and just went, dude, what the fuck? A doorknob can be dude. So, for all of those people out there who have these neo pronouns, who want to be called pizza self, or kitten self, or Ishtar with her mattress kitten self, you're a dude. I can't deal with you with your idiocy. So I'm just gonna call you dude. If you don't like it and you jump on me, well, we're gonna have issues. Ray says, if a person tells me they identify as pizza, I'll remind them that their acne should clear up when they grow up. And Ray points out, as Matt Stone and Trey Parker demonstrated in basketball, dude can be the only word in a deep conversation. This is true. And Ray, growing up in Southern California, I've had those conversations where you look at your friend and just go, dude. And they look at you and go, dude. And you look at them and go, dude. And then they look at you and go, dude. That's a whole fucking conversation. One fucking word.
That's not what you want to be referred as. And I know people are going to be like, well, it just doesn't work that way in the real world and stuff like that. But it's like, why do we have to work?
She's so close. She's so fucking close to self-awareness. I'm going to play that back for you guys. I want you to hear it.
It just doesn't work that way in the real world and stuff like that. But it's like, why?
It doesn't work that way in the real world. She's got it. She's got a handle on it. And now she's going to fuck it up by what she's coming up with next.
Why do we have to work within those boundaries? You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to, like, adjust ourselves for how other people are going to react?
She's so close to this. So, like, she's just a little bit more thought process for this woman, this young girl, and she will grasp it. Why do we have to conform to how people are going to react in the real world? That's because it's the real fucking world. You don't meet people in the real world who come up to you and go, I identify as pizza. This is internet shit. And she spins it, and Trey just pointed it out. She spins it and goes, why do we need to conform to what everyone else thinks, or how everyone else reacts? Because it's real. That's the real world. She's this close to self-awareness.
If you feel comfortable with being pizza or being kitten, you know what I mean? Like, kittens aren't sexual. Do it.
No. Bad. There's no pizza self. There's no kitten self. There is none of that garbage at all. No. Don't identify as pizza. Whatever you do, do not identify as pizza. Oh, God. Okay. So, this next one from the Twatters. How's it going, Malik? You have walked in on the entitlement of Twitter. This one just says, speaking of conspiracy theories. This is the caption. Speaking of conspiracy theories. Now, I'm going to read this little caption because I don't think she says it. And it's kind of hard to get it. Because whenever I see the abbreviation of YT, I automatically think YouTube. And so do a lot of other people. So YT, in this aspect, is white. Get it? Because you're not saying the whole word. YT, white. And sup is support. So white support is actually more destructive, I'm thinking that's what she meant, than misogyny. Trey says, and they don't have to conform, but don't get mad when dude goes, Lol, sure, whatever, so anyway. Exactly. Ishtar. Ishtar. Shame on you. Shame. Ishtar took the low-hanging fruit. Never take the low-hanging fruit. Alright. Zeogold says you have to adapt to your environment, not the other way around. That's very true. Okay, so white support is actually more destructive than misogyny. Ooh, this one's a long one. This one's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's listen to this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, Squatch. Those Oregon graduates. Whew.
White supremacy is actually more destructive than misogyny.
Okay, white supremacy is more... that's what sup is. I thought it was support. I'm wrong. See, even I'm wrong in the abbreviations.
But it's the same thing.
What? I think you're trying to say that racism is worse than sexism, but really it's all two sides of the same coin. So about 500 years ago, a group of white supremacists came up with this system that we have now. We'll call this system level 0. And then they cared about domination, control, and power. We will call that level 1. And the way in which they maintain their domination, control, and power is via patriarchy, racism, capitalism, ableism, and a couple of other things I'm probably forgetting right now, and we will call that level 2. And then underneath level 2, we have level 3, which are usually the things that we complain about, and we're all familiar with these things, I hope. So when we have discussions such as,
Pets over people, but casual racism isn't a big deal.
we need
Pets over people, but casual racism isn't a big deal. Who's having these conversations? Ever? And this whatever effect she's using, that is don't do that. How's it going, Dark? You have missed a bit. Ray says this is racist. Since the Spanish invented racism, it should be level uno, y level dos, y level tres. I don't know what capitalism has to do with any of this.
Black liberation, but keep the gays away from me.
racism doesn't exist. I'm poor and I'm white.
We're actually just slowing ourselves down because we're all victims of the same system, but some of us
Can be hit by different sides of level 2, hence intersectionality.
Intersectionality is bullshit because you can't have intersectionality in the real world. You can't have equity. We've talked about this before on this show. You can't have equity. You can have equality, which we do have, but you can't have equity. Why? Because there's not enough pieces of that pie. I've even described it as, okay, let's separate, let's take the Walmart billionaire fortune and spread it through everyone in the country. Make it even. Everybody gets an equal share of that fortune. It equals out to $20. About. I think it's gone down now. I think it's more. I think it's like $16.50 is what you get when you spread out the wealth of a billionaire. These people don't understand anything. This is someone who is still in college, who is taking these stupid courses to make themselves feel better. And they want equity, and they think equity is great. There was a thread on Twitter asking about what are you all going to do when since communism is going to become a thing. And there were people in this thread that were like, I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing now, which is grow food on my farm and teach people about intersectionality and give people, give away my food and stuff like this. And everybody, aside from these dreamers, basically went, that's not what's going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you this, That's not going to happen at all. What's going to happen is they're going to take your farm. They're going to take it from you. They're going to distribute it amongst the populace, and the elites in the communist country of America that they want are going to take the biggest share. And then, once they're done pillaging and taking and stealing from you, since you don't have means of production, you don't control anything, and you don't own anything, they're going to put you to work where they deem fit. So you may like your little tiny personal farm. They, speaking of the communist government, will just say, you know what? We need you to dig ditches. So you're going to go dig ditches. You're going to fix the infrastructure. You're going to be the one paving the roads. How's it going, Pen? Trey says, intersectionalists think everything is connected to everything else, like the guy slaughtering a cow is somehow also supporting white supremacy. Oh, don't get me started on how meat is white supremacist. They've already come out with that one. In 15 years, no one will support communism. Of course not, because they'll have already attempted it again in America, and it will have failed. Again.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for the colonizers that made this white supremacist world, we wouldn't be civilized. We'd be running around naked in huts somewhere. So that's actually a colonizer conversation, which I'm not going to get into. Therefore, I'm not going to even remind you about the Mali Empire, which had a university with a library that had over 700,000 manuscripts. The Kingdom of Kush in South Sudan. And like, how do you...
The Kingdom of Kush in South Sudan that you didn't point out. You're pointing out exceptions to the rule. There are always exceptions to the rule. Yeah, none of them suggested they'd be a real farmer or a miner.
How do you forget about Egypt? Egyptians were white though. Okay, let's put in our critical thinking caps. Do you really think that in 3000 BC, people that were in this part of the world were white? Yeah, I know. I can't even spend more than 15 minutes outside without getting a sunburn, so that does make sense. And we probably would have been happier in huts. But either way, the current system doesn't work.
I've had this discussion. I've had this discussion with my friend James a long time ago. And it was kind of the same type of thing, the whole colonizer conversation. So, back then, I was actually a liberal, believe it or not. And James is always and has been a conservative. And he was talking about how we have, as a country, went forth and advanced societies. Right? The technology that we've created has advanced societies. My argument was simple. What makes a civilization civilized? And basically, he said that, well, advancement in technology. And looking back on it now, yes, that's true. Advancement of technology does incur civilization. My argument is a tribe in the deepest, darkest part of Africa thinks that they're civilized. They don't know any better, so that is their civilized. It's a very simple concept, and it's what she's talking about. They don't know. Excuse me. They don't know that they're uncivilized because, to them, they have a civilization. They are civilized. Advancement in technology, advancement in education, advancement in societal goals actually creates what is a civilization and the civilized world. That's why we have first world countries and third world countries. First world countries have that civilization. And I don't give a fuck about this whole colonizer bullshit. Listen, every country that is now a country has taken land from the previous owners of that country. That's how it works. So it doesn't matter that the tribes of Africa, even to this day, are still fighting and killing each other. Just go experience the Congo, which still, to this day, is war-torn over warlords trying to take control of it. Every single leading civilization, took it under the guise of war. It's what you do with it now is what matters. The Congo can be civilized. Sure. Of course they can. They don't want to be. Let's see. Ray says the kingdom of Kush wasn't that advanced. Mali was a major trade empire that was ruled by the richest dynasty ever. Why is it when the Spanish colonized that's bad, but when the Bantu colonized most of Africa, that's good? From a historian perspective, which I can always take Ray at his word for being that, civilization is stratified society, division of labor, and cities. Yeah. So, don't ever give in to this bullshit colonizer garbage.
If this system is so bad, how come we're using it? Because the people that made this system weren't smarter than anyone. They were just more violent.
No. No, they weren't. And believe it or not, the founding fathers were idealists. And with their ideals, they decided that they wanted something better than what they came from. They protected this country. They didn't conquer it. Well, okay, they did conquer it per se, but when it became what it is, the 13 colonies became the United States, they protected it from colonizers. Now, you could go in and you could talk about how the Indians were taken over and, you know, they were conquered and pushed into lands and wiped from the face of existence. Except they weren't. One of my really good friends on the internet, I've never met him, he was invited to my wedding, but he wasn't able to come, is Sparky from Sparky's Tech Corner. Sparky is a Native American. I am glad to have known him, and he's one of these people that just kind of doesn't give a fuck about anything. There's nothing wrong. And he's even come to me and been like, look, don't listen to these idiots. These tribes fought each other and killed each other constantly. So I have to take it from the, what is it? The progressive stack. I have to take his word over mine. He is a native. He is a first, what do they call them? First worlders or whatever. First Nation people. So I have to take his word over mine. Ray says the Congo was pretty civilized until the King of Belgium bought it all and made it into the shithole. Whew. Fun historical fact. Powhatan, the Virgin Native American, protected the Jamestown settlers and helped them so that they could use them against his enemy tribes. Everybody who is in charge tend to want to conquer people. Trey says, I want to conquer a state for myself. You might want to try Florida. Try and conquer Florida. You can raise an army of gators. Alright, this next one, the caption is, you should face the consequences for your ancestors' actions. This is sins of the father type shit. Now, you guys know how I believe that's complete and utter garbage, because it is. You cannot be held accountable for what people you didn't even meet do. Alright. Are we ready? This one's a short one. Dark says, as someone who is Irish Native American, I am white as hell, and yeah, leftists won't accept us because our skin color doesn't match their racist point of views. Yeah. Oh no, Malik, there is no such thing as an army of Florida men. You can't take, there's not enough meth in Florida to force them to focus. And Ray says the proper term for Sparky is he who breaks keyboards with firewater. Welcome back, Cinder. Yeah, all right, so like I said, you have to pay for what your ancestors did. Let's hear what she has to say. This privileged Birdie Bree, who is on TikTok, probably has a couple thousand followers, and is probably doing this from an iPhone or a laptop, or, well, it's an iPhone, and in her rich privilege.
This one's for all the people who get offended by being called colonizers, so if that's not you, you can keep scrolling. The rest of you, I don't ever want to see or hear you ever again say that you shouldn't face the consequences for what your ancestors did.
Birdie Bree, let me talk to you here for a second. I have never met my ancestors. I do not believe that anybody should be held accountable for what their ancestors did. There you go. You have to hear it again.
You should, because in this exact moment,
No, we shouldn't.
you're benefiting off of a system that was built by your ancestors because of what they did.
So are you.
At the same moment, natives like myself and even younger generations are still feeling the repercussions of what your ancestors did.
What about your ancestors? You're a native. Cool. We were just talking about that. Strange. I didn't do this on purpose, by the way. Your ancestors destroyed, conquered, killed, murdered, pillaged, raped other tribes. The weaker tribes got devoured into the larger tribes. But you're telling me that because we came in and took advantage of that, we need to pay for you. Listen, there are tons of things that go on native land. Did you know this? I'll get back. There's only a couple of seconds left of this 47-second entitled TikToker. On tribal land. How's it going, Sparky? Speak of the Native American and he shall appear. Sparky shows up when I'm talking about this. Sparky, you can tell me if I'm right or not about this. When it comes to the casinos in California, now I don't know if it's the same way around you, Sparky, but in California, on the tribal land, did you know that they can pay you $1 an hour? Why? Because it's not government regulated. They don't have to go by federal minimum wage. They can pay you whatever the fuck they want. The reason that they don't pay you $1 an hour is because they want you to work for them. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that you have to go through to become an employee on these tribal lands from outside being Native American. So, there are privileges that you have. And those privileges, Birdie Bree, are because the government of America went, we're sorry, we fucked up. We're making it up to you. Now, did they do it in the best way? No, of course not. But they're still there. Those privileges still exist. You have privileges over even me. See, Sparky, tribal rules. Yes. The tribal rules, the tribe rules their own land. The government cannot dictate anything that happens on those lands. And anywhere that you see a casino outside of, I think, Las Vegas, or outside of Nevada, besides on the water, are tribal casinos. Those tribal casinos can rule how they want. They don't, if I'm remembering correctly, they don't even pay government stipends for that money. They don't pay taxes on the money that they win from the casinos. It's supposed to be filtered down to the rest of the tribes in the area. It's not, but it's supposed to be. That's why every tribe wants to get a casino, because they want to make money for their people. Which I'm fine with. I love going to casinos. Hey, I've been on a losing streak before where I gave the Chumash Indian tribe down in California thousands of dollars. I don't mind losing money because it's fun for me. But you have that privilege, Bertie. You are living in a... You get certain advantages that other people don't. You're living in a house on tribal land that probably costs 100 times less than any house that costs outside of those tribal lands. So don't come at me with your privilege bullshit and how my ancestors need to give you, or I need to give something to you because my ancestors, quote unquote, did something to you.
So do not, I repeat, do not come onto my page or any other native's page and say that you shouldn't face the consequences of what your ancestors did. Because that is complete BS.
You're right. It is complete BS. Because what about what your ancestors did? Your ancestors did the exact same shit on a smaller scale. So don't come to me with that bullshit about how you don't owe me stuff for what your ancestors did. Sparky says, I got my home loan through the Cherokees, and he also said the taxes are paid by the patrons. They don't have to pay taxes because the people that are spending thousands of dollars, that's what's going on. Ray said, in the 1800s, California paid to scalp Native Americans. In the 2000s, Californians are paying to be scalped by Native Americans. Welcome back, Herb. You'll tell her off, Sparky. Go onto her page, Sparky. That's right. Download TikTok. Go on to Birdie Bree's page, Sparky, and you tell her off. As a Native American, Sparky, it is your right. I'm not going to do it, but you can. Let's see. Dark says, my dad could have put me on the registry back when I was born, but he didn't because we didn't know what our tribe was. That's fair. And then Ishtar says, there are casinos out here too. I don't think they're using the money right. They're probably not. None of them ever do. It's the same thing. They become elites. They get money, and then they don't want to They don't want to spend it on what they're supposed to spend it on. All right, I got two more for you guys. These ones are, well, one's short, one's over a minute, and then we'll go on to the other fun stuff. This one's caption is, I'm not going to excuse Andrew Cuomo's behavior, but here's a dumb excuse for his behavior. Does anybody else find it odd that Andrew Cuomo did not resign for killing thousands of elderly when we're being told not wearing a mask is killing grandma? But he had to resign because he kissed people on the cheek. All right, Sparky. Don't go too hard on her, man. She's younger than you. She thinks she's less privileged than you. You are a male. You're going to dominate her in things like that. We understand. Just be nice to her, Sparky. That's all we're asking. But yeah, and the whole Andrew Cuomo shit is just fucking ridiculous. He should have been fired. He should have been resigning because of killing people. Not because he touched people inappropriately. And there was the great flip of it suddenly became okay for the late night hosts to talk about Andrew Cuomo and put him down. These are the same morons who just recently, as little as like 6 months ago, were calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Alright. I'm not going to excuse his shitty behavior, but I'm about to excuse his shitty behavior. I don't know her name. I don't care about her name, but let's go.
Hello, friends. This is probably going to cause a little bit of controversy, but I actually wanted to speak up about this. So,
her name is Dawn Iusa? Ausa? Whatever. Steve, from New York, says, no, I'm bent at Cuomo because he lost family. And you should be. You should be mad at him for losing family because of the way he handled shit. He handled it badly. Naomi says he resigned solely because once he did, they couldn't impeach him once he did. You're not wrong. And then Malik says, be nice to her. I was going to say, give it to her, Sparky. You can cheer him on.
Andrew Cuomo is in a lot of hot water, right? And I'm not going to defend whatever it is he did.
You're not going to defend whatever it is he did. Do you even know what he's being accused of? Remember, this is the crowd that is believe all women. Now, there are some allegations out there that are, oh, he said a comment or something like that, and you guys know what I believe about that. But there are actual charges being brought up against Cuomo from some of these women about him sexually assaulting them. If you don't know what he did, you should probably not speak on it or excuse his behavior. Also, like, she's a... What? Ishtar, what are you talking about?
I am one that I'm okay with the gentleman flirting with me.
You're okay with the gentleman flirting with you that you find attractive. You're not okay with the 300-pound, 600-pound slob, dude bro, whatever, flirting with you. Don't even try and pretend that you're not.
But I kinda am gonna defend him a little bit. Because if it wasn't for us fucking ladies...
Wow, she calling you out, ladies. Scroll up for what? I don't... Your last comment, Ishtar, is there are casinos out here too. I don't think they're using the money right. And then it says, also like she's about to go for my throat. That's what I see. Is she calling you out, ladies?
Sexualizing the goddamn man, I don't know, throughout the entire pandemic. And...
Like I said, Cuomo sexual. This does not excuse his actions whatsoever. His actions are gross. His actions are not excusable. I don't care if he wasn't, like Dark said and Naomi said, he was not flirting. Just because you sexually... It didn't go through, Ish. I don't see it. You missed the one where I said she looks like an HOA PTA mom. She does look like an HOA PTA mom.
Referring to him as a homosexual, and it just kind of, it set him up. It set him up to think it was okay to flirt, considering us all women were swooning over the man.
Wow! Listen, Karen. That's not how it works. Because if anything, you all have taught me that it doesn't matter what she's wearing, it doesn't matter how she dresses, it doesn't matter how she acts, it doesn't matter anything like that. It is never okay for them to act that way. Or have people act towards them that way. So, it's not the lady's fault that Cuomo is a piece of shit. It's Cuomo's fault that he's a piece of shit. Wow, Karen. Whew! That's a... Wow. Wow. God damn. I hadn't watched this one first. I liked the comment, the caption. I was like, you know what? You guys are going to like that. Wow. There you go, ladies. It's your fault that Andrew Cuomo was flirting with you because you set him up. You set him up by calling him sexy during calling him sexy during quarantine and during the pandemic. No, Naomi, there were no actual women swooning over Cuomo. It was just all of the famous people who know him and all of the mediaites that know him who were swooning over him. I don't know if you guys remember, they were projecting he could be the next president. that he should run as the next president. Well, being that he's a Democrat, that would actually work for the fact that, well, he's kind of like Bill Clinton. He gets into office and there's going to be more than just a BJ in the Oval Office. Ishtar says, I never called him anything other than a monster. And Dark says Cuomo is a fugly dude. That's just bad. Not just ugly. Fugly. For those of you who don't know what fugly means because you're not from the 90s, that's fucking ugly. Alright, last one. And then we'll get on to some articles that you guys are going to enjoy. One of them involves an eel. Alright. The caption on this one is CRT makes people get aggressive over hairstyles. CRT makes people get aggressive over hairstyles. Y'all, when you see her, when you see the woman, I'm assuming it's a woman, she has female characteristics, don't jump down my throat. Realize she is human. Or the aliens that dropped her off never came back to get her. Okay? So just be forewarned. Now, her little caption says, okay, no hate, but why can't a white person do this? I have had box braids, dreads, and an afro bubble ponytail. Nothing happened. No, Cuomo is a snake, not an eel. Eels are at least cooler. Alright, are we ready?
This is probably one of the weirdest arguments that white people make on a regular basis. Because white people will just blatantly disrespect us when a black voice is literally telling you, like, hey, don't do this. And then you're just like, why? I do it all the time and nothing happened. Like, what do you mean nothing happened? Like, do you mean...
They mean nothing happened. They walked around with dreads and nobody said anything. Why? Because it's a hairstyle. It is not your nature. It is not your very demeanor. It is not your very being. It is not cultural appropriation. Do you want to know why white people can have dreads? Because Vikings had dreads. Do you want to know why white people can have afro puffs? Because there are such thing as Jewish people who have white people froze. My mother, God rest her soul, when she was younger, got a perm, a short-haired perm. My mom rocked a white woman fro from the age I was 3 to the age I was 6. Why? Because my brother, when he was born, liked to pull hair. So she cut her hair, and when she permed it, it went poof, and she got herself a white lady fro. There are such things as curly hairstyles in white people. Why can't you why is it okay for people to have box braids? Because they can. It does not destroy your culture. You're destroying your culture right now. Because if you really want to talk about you having dreads, your culture of dreads and it being part of your culture, they never dyed it blue and pink. I'm sorry you have a fascination with cotton candy because no one's ever looked at you and went, that's something I want to eat. That's not our problem.
Nobody beat your fucking ass? Like, do we...
Yes, no one attacked someone over a hairstyle.
We need to assault you in order to give us basic human respect?
You get human respect. Do you want to know why you get human respect? Because people don't come up to you and start bashing you for playing stuff on or doing stuff on an iPhone, which was not created by you, so you using it is cultural appropriation. You're driving a car. I don't know of any companies that produce vehicles that are on the African continent. So you're culturally appropriating that. We can go through this all fucking day. Hair is not something that is cultural appropriation. All the shit in your hair, all the little doodads in your hair, all the little trinkets, that's not African. That's not black people culture. Dark says, why does her hair look like cotton candy, like a cotton candy French poodle? Like I said, no, she wants to try and entice people to sample her, and no one has. So, bright colors is supposed to attract people.
Do you mean nobody put their hands on you? Do you mean nobody felt comfortable enough to say something to you?
Oh, trust me. In today's day and age, there's enough people who feel comfortable enough to assault you over something you said, let alone hair that you wear.
Because as a white person, you're a fucking threat. So
I don't have it pulled up, but I saw it the other day. I don't know if it was Detroit. I think it was Philadelphia. There is a group of people being filmed who are black people, and they're harassing a white woman. I don't know why they're harassing her. It doesn't really say anything. But it pans away, and then the camera goes back, and there is a white dude who had nothing to do with anything, who is just laying on the ground, knocked out cold. Non-responsive, knocked out cold. Because the black dude just decided he was going to punch him in the face and cold cock him as a sucker punch. And the girl on the camera who's filming it, when the police showed up, said, nah, he just fell down. Yes, Naomi, as a white person, you're a threat. Ishtar says, as a white girl, the only thing I'm a fucking threat to is the bag of M&Ms next to me.
us saying something to you in person is literally putting us at risk?
How is it putting you at risk? Before you continue, Rib Karma, before you continue, because I know you're not going to do it, please explain how talking to a white person puts you at risk. And realize that talking to a white person does not put you at risk, just like talking to a black person doesn't put you at risk. Or talking to a Japanese person, or a Chinese person, or a Mexican, or a French person. Well, no one's at risk talking to the French. But my point is, you're not at risk just talking to somebody.
Do you mean nobody put themselves in a position to where you can play a victim, act like a white woman, call the cops, and get us killed for it?
I don't have the stats. And that's my fault, because I didn't watch this, so I wasn't able to bring it up. But, as a black person, you are more likely to be killed by another black person than you are killed by the police. That's how it works. White people are more at risk being killed by the cops than black people are.
Is that what you mean when you say nothing happened? White people are not only so used to being included everything, but also us literally accommodating for them. And y'all wonder why I say keep black spaces black.
Oh, okay. You're a segregationist. that explains everything. All right. We got away from this. Remember, we had the blacks only water fountains and the whites only water fountains. The blacks only eating areas, the whites only eating areas. Do you all remember that? I remember it. I was taught about it in schools. I've seen movies that have glorified it. I've seen movies that have talked about it. I've seen documentaries that have discussed it. I'm sure Rib Karma, in her afro puff dreadlock wannabe troll-esque appearance, knows all about segregation and how it was bad. So sure, you want black-only spaces. fine. I want you to think about this, Karma. You all like to talk and espouse how most of the money in this country is owned by white people. So when you get your black-only spaces, and the same white-only space is better, cleaner, more well taken care of, because they have money to do that, I want you to remember you're the one that wanted it. Ishtar says, if she wants black stuff to be only for black people, why does she have anime-inspired hair? That's cultural appropriation. Everything this woman is doing is cultural appropriation. That's we're just gonna go. Well, okay. I don't know if being a clown is cultural, but she's definitely on her way to culturally appropriating Bozo. Oh, I'm sorry. She's black. Homie D. For those of you who don't know who Homie D Clown is, you should look it up.
Like, why are white people so fucking entitled to shit that literally doesn't make sense for you? This is a traditional African hairstyle. It's made for kinky hair, which
white people can have. Zeo Gold asked, what's the name of this nut bar with the cotton candy hair again? It is Rib Karma. I'm sure RIB stands for something, because I know for a fact her name ain't Karma.
you do not have, Samantha. There is literally a white people version of this. I've seen it everywhere on the internet. I'm sure that you have too. But you don't fucking care. You want to do everything that we do because a black kid said that you can't. You think...
Or they think what you did is cool. It's kind of that simple.
Giving black people the power of having your respect is taking the power away from you. And that is a slave master mentality.
Wow! What? Wow! So, let me get this straight. A white dude or a white woman with dreads or braids is a slave master. Now, I know she said slave master mentality. That means that the people that she is calling that believe that they're better than the person that they're copying. Listen, bitch. Okay? Impersonation, copying, it's the best form of flattery. She's copying your hairstyle because she thinks it looks good on you and wants to see if it looks good on them. Not your hairstyle. I don't think anybody is going to think that your hairstyle is going to look good on them. But braids or dreads, they think it's going to look good on them because it looked good on you!
You're sick in the head, friend. Go.
Yes, you're sick in the head. We're going to end it on that one. We're going to end it on you're sick in the head. You have issues. Ishtar says her hairstyle is literally kawaii style and she's ranting about people copying black people. Yes, she is. Alright, guys. That is the entitlement of TikTok and Twitter. We're going to move on to some stuff. Oh. Okay. Throat's getting a little dry. Okay. I can take these off now. Do not need my handy dandy headphones anymore. Yes, hypocrisy, thy name is Rib Karma. Alright. I believe that convicts should be allowed, after they've served their sentences, to live a semi-normal life. Now, they give up their ability to own a gun. They give up the ability to vote. because they've committed a felony. But I do believe that they should get to live a normal life. This is not normal, though. From the New York Post. A woman marries man. I'm going to say that again. Woman marries man convicted of killing her brother. Did she not like her brother? I don't know. Like, did she hire him to kill her brother? Let's find out. Because I don't know how this happens. They both said, "I do," after he said, "I didn't do it." An Ohio woman married a man convicted of killing her half-brother in the 1980s, with the couple exchanging vows while he's on house arrest awaiting a retrial. Crystal Strauss and John Tejan began their strange courtship when she wrote him a letter saying she forgave him for killing Brian McGarry in 1987. And I wrote her a letter back and said I didn't do it. Take a look at this stuff. John, 57, told News 5 Cleveland. Yes, Zah, you are slightly late, but that's fine. Welcome to the show. I believe in God too, and I know things about it, but I didn't do it. John got out of prison July 22nd after he was granted a new trial based on a slew of images and missing police reports. It's no given that he'll be found not guilty the second time around. So it's not given. New York Post, get an editor. It's not given that he's not going to be convicted on the second time around. Well, we'll get through this, Strauss said, according to News 5. It's going to be a challenge, but there's no doubt about it. Oh God, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office thinks it's still a solid case, telling News 5 it is evidence that John asked a friend to dispose of the gun that killed McGarry. John's attorneys have argued that evidence points to McGarry having committed suicide. McGarry, who was John's roommate, was found dead in their apartment with a stab wound and a fatal gunshot wound to the head. If it was just the gunshot wound, okay, the stab wound adds things to it. After intense interrogation, John signed a statement that said he shot his roomie in self-defense. John popped the question to Strauss on the phone on New Year's Eve 2020 when they weren't sure he'd ever get out of prison. It's definitely not a fairy tale, Kendall Corll said of the romance, according to the Post, but it's so genuine. I agree with Naomi. If you marry, she can't be called as a witness. That's slick. That's actually pretty slick. So he may not love her, or he may. I don't know. She forgave him, but, it is what it is. But yeah, that's exactly it, Naomi. She can't be called as a witness to testify against him. All right. Did you all know? Now this is an older article. This is a year-old article, and I can't believe I didn't see it before. But did you all know that table manners are racist? I didn't know that either. So, why do I say that? Because the article that I have is titled differently than the picture that I got. So I'm going to go over that real quick. We need to rethink the way we teach kids table manners. Now how could I get from that table manners are racist? Well, we scroll down here. This nice editor's note right here. Let me read this. Editor's note, August 2021, which means this was changed recently, as in this month. This article was originally published in 2019. She's wrong, it was published in 2020. It said so in the byline. With the headline, ready? why the way we teach kids table manners is actually a bit racist. While that headline, which was written by Today's Parent editors, did not misrepresent the author's viewpoints, it was intentionally provocative, and unfortunately led to the author receiving multiple rounds of hateful messages. You mean to say that you wrote a headline to be provocative, to get attention, to make people click, to get people angry, to make people read. And all they did was read the headline and have some not so nice things to say about you. It's almost as if you did it on purpose. Ishtar asks, what is racist about teaching your kids not to be an animal at the table? We're going to get to that. We've thus chosen to soften the headline about your kids being racist by knowing table manners. If you have feedback about Today's Parents article, please send it to editors@todaysparent.com. We read every email we receive. So if you guys don't like this, if you guys don't like this article, and you have an issue with it, I'm going to put it in the chat. You go ahead, minus the apostrophe, you go ahead and you tell them why you didn't like this article. You guys ready? I'm ready. Why is teaching kids not to be animals at the table racist? When we were little, my father taught me and my brother how to eat with our hands using roti, an Indian flatbread. He was very clear and specific with his instructions, showing us how to tear a piece of roti with one hand and how to wrap it around a medium-sized mouthful of food. Big enough to be efficient, small enough not to land on my shirt on the way to my mouth. Yes, that is a picture of an Asian girl eating sushi. He taught us how to be neat and tidy, reminding us that the roti's job was to keep our fingers from touching the food and that our fingers shouldn't get messy beyond the line of the first knuckle. Because we were kids, he said that we could go to the second knuckle, but absolutely nothing beyond that. Later on, I learned how to eat food with rice with my hands for someone else. This process involved me using my fingertips, again, not beyond the first knuckle, to pull a mouthful of lentils, vegetables, and meat with rice towards me on my plate. I was taught to use my fingers to work the mouthful together so that I would have a reasonably portable, mashed up nugget. Sounds delightful. Mashing all that stuff together with rice. You could just... I know it's a different culture. I know that Indian cultures use their hands. I would rather use a fork or a spoon because I don't want a nugget of all that stuff. I want to be able to taste all of it and the textures of it, and that's just me. I'm a foodie. Deal with it. Then I was instructed to bring the nugget to my mouth and use my thumb as a sort of catapult to send it in. That actually sounds kind of cool. It's both tidy and effective. As I grew up and found myself eating with other Indians in Canada and India, I realized that we had all been given the same lesson from our parents because everyone of all ages would do it the same way. I've always believed that food tastes better when it's delivered to your mouth by your hands, regardless of what you're eating. Even ice cream. I mean, you just put it in your mouth, you get all sticky. You know, that eating ice cream with your fingers is not good, but, you know, apparently she likes it. But what feels important to say is that my dad was very clear that the technique he taught us was only for eating Indian food. He spent just as much time teaching us how to use a knife and fork and how to behave properly at the table, with all of the detailed instructions of an etiquette lesson. Sounds like your dad was a dick. Ishtar says, as long as they aren't getting food everywhere and chewing with their mouths open, I don't care how they eat. Where was it? There was never any horsing around allowed at the table or complaining about not liking the food, and both my brother and I learned to tip our soup bowls forward and ladle up the last bit of soup away from us to avoid any accidental drips. As we grew... How long is this fucking thing? Oh, God, this is... Alright. Let's get through this. As we grew up, we learned that there were times to eat with our hands and times to use cutlery, and that this difference was largely dictated by the culture of the food we were eating. A roast chicken dinner needs a knife and fork to break down the meat and roasted vegetables into bite-sized pieces. Plus, navigating through mashed potatoes and gravy is a hot mess with your fingers. But sandwiches and falafels are all about hands. Yes! Sandwiches and falafel are finger foods. There is a type of food that you can eat with your fingers. And, of course, chopsticks made their way into the picture for noodles, sushi, and dumplings. I have known my whole life that not all of the food around the world is eaten with a knife and fork. So how... She isn't getting to the point about how this is racist yet. This is a lot of history that she's done. Oh boy. Recently, I chatted with someone who told me a story about her young niece, who goes to the prestigious preschool and was eating rice with her hands at lunchtime. The feedback her parents received was that this child needed to work on her table manners and use proper cutlery to eat. Dun dun dun. The school is the villain in this. I immediately felt a rush of anger bubble up inside me when I heard this, because it had everything to do with you, and not the parent of the child. It's all about you. The message that eating food with your hands is an unmannered way to eat is a real problem for me because it's dripping with control and shame of colonialization, which is particularly dangerous in the educational context. Or, and I'm spitballing here, the child was not eating finger foods with her hands and was making a mess. So, it has nothing to do with anything you just said. Suggesting that a child who eats with her hands has no manners is an echo of European colonial powers looking to tame the wildness out of the people they controlled. This is dumb. Ishtar, this is almost as dumb as knitting being racist. These European table manners were imposed on conquered people in an attempt to civilize them. It's a damaging message about the right and wrong ways to do things. You just said yourself a couple of paragraphs ago. You know that different cuisines require different ways to eat them. You have also been in a position to eat multicultural meals in different ways. And you are now focusing on this because it has something to do with you. Please, for the love of God, stop making this about your feelings and realize this is just a preschooler. It's a damaging message about the wrong... I already said it positions the technique as superior, and the people who practice it as setters of the standard, leaving those with a different approach to eating with the status of inferiority. That's a bunch of word salad. Yes, Ishtar, we can get ramen for dinner. Listen. I have a habit while I'm eating. I will use fork and knife. I will use a napkin. I tend to eat portions of my food first before I eat the main course. So I'll have more mashed potatoes than I will like a steak, or I'll eat the corn on the cob before I eat, the barbecue or whatever I'm having. One habit that I have, though, that I've had since I was a kid, and I cannot break it. I can have a cloth napkin on my left leg at the table and know it is there. And I'm talking at a nice restaurant. Know that it is there. After I pick something up like bread, or I get something on my hand that's kind of greasy or sticky, my hand will not go to my left leg. My hand immediately goes to my right leg and just wipes it on my pants. Does that make me uncultured? No! Does eating with your hands make you uncultured? No! Does eating with the fork and knife make you cultured? No! There's no sense of superiority in eating food. Unless you're eating something that costs $200. Like the $200 French fries. With truffle oil. Blech. Truffle oil is disgusting. The idea of a single standard of acceptable table manners is just one of the host of strategies used to grow and promote racism. It's a subtle message, which means no one but you is picking up on it. But one that is reinforced 3 times a day, every day, which makes it quite powerful. No. No, it's not. If it's that subtle of a message, no one's picking up on it. Ever. Yes, Dark, I agree with you. Maybe in the 1700s you were seen as highfalutin because you were using cutlery. People use cutlery today. We had a great meal for to-go. The cutlery we used was plastic. Does that make us lesser for not using silver? No. Do you know why it's called silverware? Because it used to be made out of silver. That's why it's called fine china. There are still sets of silverware made out of pure silver. Most of it's nickel and bronze. But we still call it silverware. It was a status symbol. It's not anymore. Okay, she's going to backtrack a little bit. Let me be clear here. I think it's vitally important to teach children how to behave at a table, which is what this preschool was trying to do. But I think we need to revisit what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. Why? Is this preschool in India? If it's not, they're teaching them American table manners. Or even Canadian table manners. Is it in China, Japan, Korea? No? Then that's why she's not using chopsticks. Recognizing diversity in cultural backgrounds and food traditions is essential. Especially in a country as multicultural as Canada. Yes, green lawns are also racist. Thank you for pointing that out, Ishtar. We shouldn't be teaching kids that they're not supposed to eat with their hands at all, or eating with cutlery is more refined or sophisticated way to eat. No one is saying that. Even the example you gave of the preschooler is not saying that. Naomi says, I was taught when I was little how to eat with all different forks and how to place them on my plate when I was done. Did you guys know if you're eating with chopsticks and you're eating ramen, when you're done, you don't leave the chopsticks in the bowl. You set them on top. That is signifying to the waiter that you are done. It is respectful. How many of you cultural appropriating assholes who eat ramen and things like that don't do that with chopsticks? I can guarantee you it's most of you. Why? Because you're in America. They don't go by that tradition. And in this case, Canada, they don't go by that tradition. So they're not in an Indian school. It's a preschool. My father's instructions were very detailed, with a big focus on being tidy and efficient and maintaining Hindu customs around cleanliness and purity. There is a very mannered way to eat with your hands, and there is more than 1 billion people around the world that eat this way. Yes, but you're not there! Okay. Here's something she's not saying about the whole eating with your hands thing. When you are in India and you eat with your hands, you use the hand that you are not dominant with. Why? Well, because the water is not always the greatest in India. So your dominant hand is usually the one you wipe your butt with. You do not want to contaminate the food, which is shared around with everybody, with your fecal hand. You use your less dominant hand to eat with. That's also civilized. Okay, here we go. I recently spoke with some friends of British descent who recalled their own strict lessons at the dinner table about not touching a single thing on their plates with their hands, with the curious exception of unsauced asparagus, which is somehow given a pass. Okay? I grill asparagus and saute asparagus all the time. I still eat it with my fingers. Why? Because I'm American, damn it, and that's why. They talked about how much of their own tradition they had to set aside to become comfortable eating more than just sandwiches and fries with their hands. So you had to do something. Oh no. Oh, Naomi says, to be fair, I was born and raised in Japan. See, Naomi would know what I'm talking about. And then Ishtar says, it's also traditional in Japan to leave a little bit of food on your plate to signal you're full. In America, the clean your plate rule came into effect during the time of the Great Depression. Alright, the message. Here we go. Here's her conclusion to her article. The message we need to send to our preschool kids is that there are many different ways to eat food that they won't understand. They just know food goes in the mouth hole. And that they're all worthy of respect and acknowledgement. We need to show them that good manners can look quite different from table to table, particularly here in Canada. A great way to start is to ensure that there's real cultural diversity in the menus served to kids in schools and daycare centers so that they can be exposed to a variety of cuisines and how to eat them. This bitch has never had a kid. Listen, we can discount everything she just said because she's never had a child. One of the very first dates that Ishtar and I ever went on was to a very fancy Italian restaurant. I'm not talking. There was no waiting area. There was not a maitre d'. You had to go dressed. Okay. We had a sommelier to tell us about wine, which we did not drink because we're not wine drinkers. We had the waiter tell us verbally about the specials. There were no prices on the menus. When I say this was a fancy fucking Italian restaurant, I mean this was a fancy fucking Italian restaurant. Do you know what they had on the menu, though? Aside from all of the delicious Italian cuisine, there was a kids menu. Do you want to know what the kids menu had? Grilled cheese, chicken nuggets, pizza, and a hamburger. Why? Because kids don't want diverse food. They like what they like. It's not until they get older that their palates develop to like other foods. I hated asparagus when I was younger. Could not stand it. I thought it was gross. And I was a kid that liked his veggies. Now, it's fucking delicious. Why? Because my palate has evolved. What that actually means is your taste buds have died. But your palate evolves. She has never had kids. To bring up the whole, we need real cultural diversity in the menus served to kids, are you kidding me? Half of the shit that would be served would not be eaten. That's it. There's a reason why these menus are as limited as they are. Alright. I told you guys that I had an article. I'm going to make you guys laugh. There's an article that I have that's also going to... It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Or it's not... The picture that I saw and the actual article are bad. And then I saw what actually was going on, and it made it a whole lot worse. And this is an article with an eel. Are you guys ready? Because you ain't ready. Chinese man almost dies after a 20-centimeter eel he inserted into his rectum in a bizarre bid to relieve constipation entered his abdomen. This dude shoved an eel up his butt to relieve constipation, and the eel kept going up into his stomach Oh God, that is horror. That is horror movie shit. That is, wow, no. That is all sorts of fucking no. If you guys were hungry talking about food from the last article, I can guarantee you, never gonna be hungry again after reading this. Oh boy. Zio Gold says, oh great, now Mansquatch will write a story about Antoine and Sarah eating at an Italian restaurant. Steve made the joke I was gonna make, that's fine. Malik says, I used to hate pieces of veggies in my food when I was a kid, now I like it very much. And Steve said, wrecked him, damn near killed him. In this case, very true. A Chinese man nearly died after allegedly inserting a wiggling 8-inch eel into his backside to treat his constipation. 8 inches. That's an 8-inch eel. He took a live 8-inch eel and shoved it up his butt. The live fish bit through the man's colon before getting stuck in his abdomen. I don't think I need to say this to you guys, because I know you're smarter than this, and I know you're very intelligent people. I love you dearly. I love you guys showing up and listening to me ramble and rant and talk about this stuff. I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you to not shove a live animal up your butt! It bit through his colon. Ooh, the unnamed patient claimed he decided to use the creature to solve his bowel problems after following a folk remedy. Don't do that. Doctors operated to remove the eel, which was still alive, by the way, but warned the man he could have died from hemolysis, when red blood cells are destroyed, caused when bacteria from the large intestine reach the abdomen, which the eel was bringing with it. The news came to light after the man sought medical attention at a hospital in Xinhua, East China, Jiangsu province. I probably butchered that, don't care. For severe abdominal pain. He initially avoided seeking medical attention for the pain because he was shy. Dude, you shoved an eel up your ass. You're not shy. There's no scientific evidence to support the folk remedy the man was following. Okay. Constipated, it means somewhere in your intestines there's an obstruction. The waste is too solid to push through your rectum. And I can understand how the thought behind it, you put the eel... It's not a good thing, don't do this. I understand how the eel could force its way through, which is gross, and break up the solid matter. So I can see how people would think that. Don't do that! Oh! Another Chinese man, said to be in his 50s, followed the folk remedy last year, inserting a 16-inch eel into his rectum. Oh no. Oh God. The live fish tore through the man's intestines before dying and getting stuck in his abdomen for a week. The news came to light after the man sought medical attention at the Huangjiang Hospital in Dongguan, Guangdong Province. They're making these names up at this point. Due to severe abdominal pain. Doctors removed the fish in emergency surgery and said the man's organ had been severely infected and filled with waste matter. The man was treated in intensive care for 3 days before being discharged. At least he survived. Chinese man... This is the picture of the 16-inch eel dying in his stomach. Oh boy. Oh God, there's more. Oh God, there's more. It's not much more, but there's more. Also, last year... a man got a 10-inch chopstick lodged in his belly after inserting it into his backside, quote, out of curiosity, unquote. I don't know what makes you curious about sticking a chopstick up your butt. I have no words for that. A 68-year-old man from Hubei claimed he was interested in checking his backside after developing piles. What the fuck is piles? The patient was discharged from the hospital in late May after medics removed the metal stick from the pensioner's intestines. It was not a wooden chopstick. It was a 10-inch metal chopstick. Do not stick these things up your butt. Don't, no. We're moving on. Moving on. Don't do that. Don't. Okay. I got this article from Brockus. So, if you don't like it, blame the orc. But it's about a video game. I think. No, it's not about a video game. It's about a movie. An animated movie. And, yeah. So, I know you guys know what Pokemon is. But are those of you out there know what Digimon is? They came out about the same time. There are Digimon fans that are die-hard fans. And then there are Pokemon fans who are die-hard fans. I am neither. But that's fine. Yes, Za, don't stick things up your butt. That's racist. Well, to be fair, if you stick things up your butt that you're not supposed to, like an eel or a chopstick, apparently that's cultural appropriation. They only do it in China, don't do it anywhere else. Alright, Dark. Then you may get a kick out of this. Digimon sparks backlash over political correctness script. Okay. Digimon is celebrating a big anniversary this year, and there is plenty coming for the franchise as such. Not only is there a new TV show and film in the works, but the team behind Digimon Tamers came together for a special event this week, but after watching the stage show, well, fans were left pretty angry. The whole thing went down on Sunday when DigiFees 2021 brought the stars of Digimon Tamers together. It was there that the group did a script reading of an original episode meant to take place in the modern day. However, dun dun dun, things took a turn when it was revealed the story's villain was none other than political correctness. So Digimon took a page out of South Park's book with PC Principle and made political correctness the villain. This is great. I love this already. I'm gonna go watch this movie. I don't care. I've seen maybe 2 Digimon episodes in my entire life. I'm gonna watch this movie. Or I'm gonna watch this show. Don't care. The story begins with the Tamers reuniting as adults, and they are tasked with fighting a new villain. The team is presented with political correctness, a villain that authorities in the story describe as the greatest problem facing the internet and media. They're not wrong. The story goes on to accuse political correctness of forcing people to conform to a single viewpoint while censoring real news to replace it with fake news. The Tamers aren't that worried about the ordeal until it attacks with moves like cancel culture, and they are prompted to take action. I'm gonna watch every fucking episode of this. Obviously, the episode's politically charged wording has caused lots of friction with fans. Only some fans, only particular fans, only fans that aren't really fans that comicbook.com is making up. The need for objective, fact-based media is more important than ever. And Digimon fans aren't sure why this discussion was even brought into the franchise. The story was penned by Chuck J. Konaka. I butchered that name, so sorry. Who penned scripts for the original anime. And fans have discovered some of the writer's blog posts point to his love of conspiracies. From 9/11 to COVID-19, Konaka has shared pieces and supported influencers who question topics like these in his posts. I hope you will forgive me for the unusual contents of this entry, Konaka wrote on Twitter when asked about Digimon Trainer's script. However, if I don't write about this, I don't think you'll be able to understand why I've been speaking so passionately about this anime from 20 years ago. Konaka has said he will give additional info on his views to overseas fans later this month, so it could clear up the fandom's confusion in light of the stage play. But for now, it seems fans of Digimon Tamers will have to sit by with a questionable taste in their mouths and get over it. What do you make of this controversial Digimon story? Did you find it in the bad taste? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below and hit them up on Twitter. Well, I think this is a great idea. South Park did it, and I think that's amazing. Now, according to what Brockish told me when he told me about this article and I said send it to me, because I wanted to talk about Digimon having political correctness be the villain, apparently on the stage after some concerns were brought up, Konaka basically told them, fuck off. Which is great. I think that's great if that's what happened. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But I'm gonna watch this series. I may do a retrospective on it. I don't know. I'll watch all of it and do a review. Who knows? Zeo Gold, no, I do not want to guide into the Digimon franchise. There are so many shows that I need to watch that I haven't even gotten to yet. But alright guys, listen. The best I can say, best advice I can give right now, is try and find things that entertain you. Support the things that entertain you. Because there were 2 other articles that I could have read that were going to depress the shit out of you. And if you can find things that are entertaining, you can find things that make you happy, it's going to carry you through. Things are rough right now. They've been rough for a while. Everybody thought 2020 was going to exit and 2021 was going to be the grandiose savior of the modern world. It's not. Things happen, things go bad. And when you find things going bad, and it feels like your heart's being ripped out of your chest, or it feels like the world is closing down around you, or you just can't catch a break. You need to realize that you have people around you that are going to build you up. Make sure that you keep them close. Because once you have them, you can start to rebuild. And when you rebuild, then you can start to enjoy things again. And if that means someone who helps build you up is someone like Markiplier because he makes you laugh, or in my case, someone like me who makes you laugh or makes you think, or to get you to take your mind off of things for an hour or two, definitely support them. And I'm not talking financially. I'm talking about support them by showing up in chats like you guys do, or hitting like on a video, or sharing around something. It does help. It helps them know that you're there. And with my audience, I get to see you guys. I don't get to physically see you guys, but I get to see you guys in chat. I get to talk to you. See you guys on Twitter, for those of you who are on Twitter. Get to joke around with you, and hopefully I can bring some smiles to you guys. But with that being said, it is 9 o'clock. This has been the Last Vox After Hours. And with hoping that things go okay, there should be a Cringe Book Club next Sunday, where we will be finishing My Antifa Lover, so we can move on to something good. And, well, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend, however many hours are left. And I hope the rest of your week, I hope it's good. And I will definitely see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody.
He keeps kicking me in the dick. Why? Why does he keep kicking me in the dick?